All right, now here it is. The number one thing that you can adjust right now that can really catapult you into a healthier lifestyle, healthier brain function, healthier body, physique function, healthier physiological adjustment, healthier sleep at night, even healthier blood sugar levels, which we often talk a lot about, is today I want to talk about longevity. What do we do to live the longest life that we can live, and also the highest quality life that we can live while we're living long? Because of course we don't just want to live long and still be sick or still be weighed down. So I want to talk about, out of all the research I've done, my top thing that I would say that you can start to do right now to increase the chances of you living longer and having a higher quality of life. Now, before I move forward with this, and it's going to be great because you need to know this, I want you to please this video and subscribe to my page. And it's very important because the algorithms change and you may or may not find me on this platform depending on how much they want to hide relevant, healthy, non-toxic approaches to being able to live a healthy quality life. And this is important to subscribe so that you can get notification of my videos, because the algorithms are starting to change, especially for those who are advocates of healthy alternative methods to reversing disease or living long. They're starting to hide our videos, I must say. And I don't want my videos to be hidden from you. So in order to prevent that, make sure that you subscribe to my page. All right, now let's get into it. Now, I do a lot of research. And I try to really follow the research, the data, the scientific proven ways, the case studies even, to see who lives the longest quality, healthy lifestyles, like who is thriving in their later years in life. What is the best way to reverse certain diseases? What is the best food items, the best diet, the best exercises, the best lifestyle habits, the best sleeping routines, the best meditation methods? Like, I look at it all. And if you want to know a little bit about me, I'm somewhat of a freak of nature when it comes to data. So even for myself, I'm always like getting new gadgets. I don't know how many gadgets I have, you guys. I have so many gadgets, it's like crazy. But I'm always testing them out and I'm always looking at the results from them, or even supplements. Like I say, I could really have run a store in my house because I buy so many supplements. I try them and I try to see, are they effective? I look at other people who are taking them. I read reviews and how it's benefiting someone's life or not. I follow all of that stuff because I just want to know, like, how do we live long and healthy and not be weighed down by pains and brain problems and fog and chronic fatigue syndrome? And I want to figure out, how do we live our best quality life? And so because of that, I'm always checking and trying to discover what is out there and what has the research proven, so that I can see, is this good enough to advocate for or not. Now, in the midst of all of this, I do believe that there are variables. Just like, for example, statistically, having too much body fat can cause a lot of problems. Belly fat can cause heart problems, for example. But at the same time, you could have somebody who is heavier or who have belly fat who lives longer or healthier than someone who doesn't have belly fat, who's thinner, and they wind up with a chronic disease or something, cancer or whatever. And a lot of people will say, what happened in this case? Well, there are some variances, but I try to look at the scope of the multitude and what is most likely to happen. Okay, so this is the way I approach research, and I try everything I can on myself. I've tried so many different diets, so many different ways. But again, it can be tricky because everybody is different. They're uniquely designed, different DNA, different susceptibilities, different history, different stress levels, different ages, different background, different experiences of stress and trauma from the past. So there's all these different things that can make something that should be systematic for everybody a little different from person to person. However, I still will give to you what is the most likely of the situations. More than likely, this is the way to go, or this is the approach that you must have. And one of the things that I've done is I have very aggressively studied longevity, anti-aging, how to look your youngest, how to feel your youngest, how to have energy of a child even though you're older. You know, the oldest people in the world, what do they do? What do they eat? What routines do they have? What stress levels do they have? A lot of times, one consistent thing that I've seen is how the people who live the longest in the world, they are very thankful and grateful people. They don't get angry. They don't get mad. They don't hold grudges. They don't have a lot of regrets. They don't have a lot of revenge in their heart. They feel like they wake up every day, and if I could sum it up, it would be, this is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice in it, no matter what's happening in my life. So that's one thing that I've picked up. But I'm going to tell you what I think my top piece of advice that I would give somebody if they just made me boil it down to one thing. And you know, it's hard. You can't really boil it down to one thing because it's so many different things and it's so many different patterns and lifestyle habits that you have to adjust to try to live as long as you want to live and to try to be as healthy as you want to be. But of all the research that I have looked at, there is one thing that kind of like to me stands out. Now, is this maybe the best thing that I should tell people right now? No. And the reason why is because I know that's contradicting myself, but I'm being honest, right? So no, because what I'm about to say, only 50% of people do. Okay. And so it's almost like I cut in half who I'm really talking to. And there is something else that I could tell people to do that I feel like everybody will be able to like make this adjustment or have the possibility to make this adjustment. And only 50% of people who I talk to about this will probably make the adjustment. But I'm still going to say it, right? Because it is still at the top of the list. And I'll mention to you the other thing. All right. And they actually go hand in hand, by the way. It's just a matter of like, I should probably start with the other one, but I'll do that second. All right. So just pay attention. Okay. Because I'm going to tell you. All right. Now here it is. So the number one thing that you can adjust right now that can really catapult you into a healthier lifestyle, healthier brain function, healthier body, physique function, healthier physiological adjustment, healthier sleep at night, even healthier blood sugar levels, which we often talk a lot about, is exercise. But not just that. Wait a minute. And you're saying like, why am I saying exercise over like dietary changes? Okay. And it's not just any type of exercising. Now there are a few different types of exercising that do different things for the body. And I'm going to do another video on the exercise right under this one that I want to talk about that helps with longevity and just overall feeling of wellness in your life. And yeah, I'll talk about it later. I don't even want to go into it now. I'll touch a bit on it towards the end. But this particular exercise is, I don't want to say, let's back up, okay? Like, I don't even want to edit this. I just want to just conversate with you what's going through my brain at the moment. So I don't want to say exercise. What I will say is adding skeletal muscle mass to your body. Let's start there and then I'll work back to how that happens because there's a lot of ways that can happen. There's a lot of variables with weightlifting. It could be body weightlifting. It could be even a little bit of burst training can build the growth hormone and cause your body to be able to add muscle mass. There's even certain things that you can eat to add muscle mass. So let's just put it in this category. If you can build skeletal muscle mass, you will increase your likelihood to have longevity and quality of life. You will help out your immune system, your ability to manage glucose levels, healthy glucose levels, glucose levels. And also you can help your insulin resistance if you have it. And a lot of people do have insulin resistance. Even if you have not been diagnosed with like pre-diabetes or diabetes, a lot of people still have insulin resistance. You can tell by certain things that happen to their body. And unless you get a test to test your insulin levels, you won't know that. Blood sugar levels won't tell you how efficient your insulin levels are functioning, or your insulin is functioning. Okay, so just take note of that. If you feel like you could stand to lose a little weight, or if you're hitting a glass ceiling off of losing weight, you're always tired, it's hard to sleep at night, it's hard for you to fast, you have sugar cravings, all of these different things can let you know that you may be insulin resistant, even if you have never been diagnosed with prediabetes or diabetes, or have any level of diagnosis, even high blood pressure or whatever, because it takes years for this stuff to come into fruition, and then it manifests in different ways. It can manifest that you do have high blood pressure. It can manifest in that you have weight gain, or you can't lose weight. It can manifest in diabetes or prediabetes. Your blood sugar levels start to be all over the place. It can manifest in your ability to manage cortisol levels and to sleep well at night. So let's just first know that you can't know just from that particular test unless you are getting your insulin levels tested. And so again, building muscle mass, and when I say muscle mass, I think I've said it enough, skeletal muscle mass. When you're building this type of muscle mass, it helps you to regulate your blood sugar levels, and it also helps with your triglycerides. What that means is that if you lack this, if you don't have any type of skeletal muscle mass being added to your body, or enough of it, then the opposite is going to happen, meaning you can get insulin resistance. You won't manage glucose levels very well. You will have some problems with triglyceride levels. You could have problems with joint function, immune system. You can have problems with weakness. And that is very important, by the way. Let me just say this. That is very important. You don't want to be weak. I'm not just talking about strength. Some people can be strong. I am talking about being able to know that you do really legit have enough muscle mass in your body. And you don't want to be weak. You got to think about this, especially as you age, because as we age, we have less and less of the ability for our bodies to add on muscle mass, right? So you want to start now, like yesterday, like last year, like a decade ago. You want to start building muscle mass as quick as you can right now, because as you age, your ability to be able to do that goes down, honestly. And it doesn't make it any better when we put out certain diets that limit protein, especially for those who start to age, where it's like, oh, you should have less protein. If you have less protein, how are you going to build muscle mass? That doesn't make any sense. And if you don't have muscle mass, then you're going to be weak, and then you're going to run into all of these other problems with your body and your ability to have longevity. You know, when people age and they get weaker, that's a sign of like dying. That's a sign of deterioration. When you get weaker and weaker, think about somebody who is sick or they're in the hospital or on the hospital bed. They get weaker and weaker when they're dying. So that becomes an issue. So you want to make sure you're not getting weaker. Like, you know, yes, we get a little weaker as we age, but there is really still a way to keep things progressive with your ability to stay strong and have strength as you age. As a matter of fact, there's some people who changed some things with their exercise routine. They started doing resistance training and adding weights to their routine, and all of a sudden they're like, I'm actually stronger than I was 10 years ago. Okay, and so there's a way to also even test stuff like this out. I'm always testing for myself how strong I am. And when I say how strong I am, it's not about, oh, how much I can bench press. Although there are times in my life where I do want to see how much I can bench press. What is my max? How much can I squat? How much can I deadlift? There's some value in that. But I'm talking about like doing certain things that can let you know where you stand. So for example, one of the things that I do is I do a hang. I just hang on the barbells. I just hang. How long can I hang without like letting go? Okay, so that's an actual test that lets you know how strong you are and how strong your grip is. That tells you something about your strength and where you stand physically as far as strength is. How long can you hang? Can you hang at least a minute as a woman, 2 minutes as a man? Or can you do a squat and just squat for 2 minutes? Or how much can you lift of free weights? Like just lift up and hold in your hand while you're moving even. Because you have to make it make sense for real life. If I'm in danger and I have a child or a grandchild, I need to be able to pick that grandchild up and run away from danger, okay? If you're weak, you can't do stuff like that. So you got to think about that. Or if you decide that you have to go to the grocery store and carry bags from the grocery store to the car or from the car to your house or whatever, if you are older, like that matters. How many groceries can you carry? Because if you're too weak to carry several bags of groceries, then you become a bit handicapped, meaning you need somebody to help you out with that, and that affects the quality of your life. So when I'm talking about these things, I'm talking about being able to be strong enough to make sure that you can function in a high quality level that doesn't make you as dependent. Because honestly, when people get older and they get dependent, it's a bit depressive. Ask any person who's experienced it. Like, how does this make you feel that you were once able to do something that you now can't do? And then you have people now that are physically unable to do things that they should be able to do. Walk up the stairs without getting tired. If it's hard for you to walk up the stairs, your knees is hurting you, and there's a lot of reasons why your knees can hurt. I'm not pinpointing that. I actually have knee pain from running too much, and I try to adjust things to try to tend to that. But I'm just saying, I'm talking about your ability to do things like that creates this level of delightfulness in life, and things that take it away is you getting weak. If you fall over as an older person, which by the way, that's also something you need to learn how to do, is to fall the right way or to fall gracefully or whatever you want to say, and be able to get back up, be able to spark yourself and jump back up, okay? And I know sometimes the fall could be just really bad and you can't get back up right away. But I'm saying these are things that I actually practice. Getting down, getting back up, and honestly, some young people fall down too. But as you notice, when people are young and they fall down, they're able to get back up because they're youthful. But if they're overweight or they're having problems or whatever, that's going to be much harder for them. And so we got to think about stuff like that, that if you are a little overweight, or I don't want to say like, this is not about weight. Don't get me wrong, because some people weigh more because they have more muscle mass. So I'm not talking about getting to a perfect weight. I actually think that people should have a healthy amount of body fat and not be like overly thin. And sometimes when I get overly thin from not eating any carbs or whatever, I have to pick up more calories in the form of protein and healthy fats. I try to do that so that I'm not underweight. But usually if somebody is overweight, it is harder again for them to jump back up and get up from a fall. Now, older people, if they fall, for example, and they break their hip, which a lot of older people will break bones and stuff, and that comes from being too weak. That comes from not having enough skeletal muscle mass, right? And so that is protective for when people fall. But for example, if they do fall and they break a hip, which a lot of old people do break their hips, they are a lot more likely to die in the next year or two just because they broke their hip. And it's just a downhill cycle a lot of times when older people wind up not having enough muscle mass. And so I think it's important, and it's something that we really got to start looking at, is how can we increase muscle mass? How can we start to do resistance training that can help to build muscle mass? Now, I do believe in all kinds of other training, which I will talk about in another video, because right under muscle mass, there is another type of exercise that really helps with your mitochondria. And if anybody knows anything about the mitochondria, they'll know that if you don't have mitochondria health, then your longevity is definitely going to be compromised. And there's a particular type of exercise, it's zone 2 exercise, that really helps with your mitochondria health and endurance. And I love it. And honestly, I love all different kind of exercises because they all like interweave in one another and they all help each other out. Like, for example, if you do endurance training, it will actually help you when you are doing muscle building. And if you do some muscle building, it'll actually help you with your endurance training. So they all have their place, and I love where they all fit in. But like I said, according to the evidence and the research that I've gathered, the people who are more likely to have these aspects of longevity, anti-aging, and being able to boost their quality of life are people who are able to increase muscle mass. Now, there are times when, and I've talked about this before, so I don't want to like sound like I'm contradicting myself, but there are times where people don't really have to do resistance training, and that's because their lifestyle is demanding for them to constantly use their muscle and build their muscle. If you are somebody like a wood chopper, chopping down trees or something like that, you're constantly using your muscle to do that. Or if you are picking up heavy loads, all right, you're using your legs, your back, you're using your muscles to do that. So you'll have sometimes people who don't necessarily need to do a lot of intentional weightlifting to build muscle, which I still suggest you do it just to add to the routine. But there's some people who don't need to because they're doing it constantly. And that's like the best, honestly, is this constant movement of muscles and being able to utilize your muscles on a day-to-day basis. But a lot of people are not. They're sitting down like I am right now. But I'm making a video too, and I'm going to stand up right after this. So there's times where we do have to sit down. We're driving and we're laying down sleep. There's times that we're just immobile and we're not doing anything. And so, you know, it's sometimes good to, if you're going to be doing a lot of that, like to get some more extra movement in, some weightlifting, some resistance training. You got to move your body a lot better. But I did want to talk about this because it's something that I've been studying for quite some time, and I am probably more aggressive about trying to build muscle than I ever have been. And I have prioritized it in addition to some other things. But, you know, like I said, this is the one thing that I have noticed that is really at the top. And I'll say this also. I'll say this. The reason why somebody may say, like, why isn't, you know, dieting or eating healthy at the top of the list? Well, that's a good question. All right. And as I was stating earlier, I should just tell people to eat high quality protein because that's what actually helps to build muscle mass. And I think more people are likely to do that than what I'm telling you to do right now. But it's still at the very top of the list. So I'm telling you what's at the top of the list. But if I wanted to hit a broader amount of people, I would say, yes, eat protein. And I'll do some more videos on that because it's important that I continue to advocate for what the statistics show, because there's a lot of people who, again, try to preach that you should not do protein. And I just don't like that approach because then you're compromising what to me is the top priority for anti-aging, which is muscle mass, along with some other things. I'm not saying that other things are not there also, but this is at the top of the list. And the reason why I want to say this, or I don't want to go into the dieting as the top priority, that's because when people do get sick, when they do face conflict in their body, immune problems, physical problems, sleep problems, glucose problems, diabetes, cancer, and chronic disease, back pain, whatever it is that you experience, having muscle mass will make you get over that hump much easier. For example, if somebody is a smoker and they smoke cigarettes, and they don't have muscle mass, and then somebody else is a smoker and smokes cigarettes, and I'm using this because we all know smoking cigarettes is not good for your health. We're not even gonna debate that, right? But if somebody is smoking cigarettes and they do have muscle mass, the person who smokes cigarettes and do have muscle mass, they are more likely to endure the damages of cigarettes more than the person who don't have muscle mass. Now, I'm not saying if you smoke cigarettes, all you got to do is go get muscle mass and the problem will be over. I'm just making a point that two people who do harmful things to their body, the person who has more muscle mass will endure or is more than likely to overcome the issue than somebody who don't have muscle mass. If you have a bad diet, for example, and you have more muscle mass, you are likely to not have as much damage from the bad diet or even able to overcome the damage that you've already caused to your body by having some more muscle mass. And if you start to change the bad habit and you got the muscle mass there, you're even better off to go. And same thing with like people who consume sugar. If you have muscle mass, you have a place for the sugar to go, to be stored, right? If you don't have muscle mass, The sugar is going to be stored in a different way, and it can cause more harm to your body, cause belly fat, cause a fatty liver, and all kind of other things. But the muscle mass is a buffer. It's there where you can store that glucose, and then you can use it to be burned off as fuel whenever you are ready to go exercise or use it as fuel. And then also somebody with more muscle mass has usually a better metabolic rate. And so that makes a difference also. So that's why I put the muscle mass there, because if you do have bad habits, the muscle mass puts you in a better, I'm not saying the best predicament, but a better predicament. And then if you stop the bad habit, so I do think that if somebody is smoking cigarettes, they should stop smoking cigarettes because of what it's doing to their organs and their body. But if they have more muscle mass, they are in a better place than somebody who don't. If you are that person who do resistance training and who is intentional about building muscle, continue down that path. There's often things that we have to do one at a time, prioritize, and then get into the other healthy habits that you need to get into. If you're not somebody that prioritizes muscle mass, I'm making a case that you gotta start like now, right? You gotta start now to try resistance training. So I love the treadmill. I love cardio. It has its place. I'll talk about that. But you need to jump off that treadmill if that's all you're doing, and get some resistance training in, right? Because you can get the cardio in much easier than you can the resistance training, more than likely. It is much harder to build muscle as we age. It's so much harder. So you want to get started now. You don't want to wait, because it's going to become harder and harder. And as you lose more and more muscle mass, it's going to become very complicated for you. Okay. So if I were you, I would trade in some of the time. If it's a time issue, trade in some of that time for cardio, for resistance training, and try to make up the cardio other ways. You can get up and walk, you can jog, you can do cardio in your office. You know, it's so much easier to do cardio, like I said, than resistance training. So I wanted to share this because I think it has some value. And if you are somebody who's intentional about trying to boost the quality of your health, make sure that you're able to live long and well, not just long, okay? You don't want to live long and be sick all that time, you know? You want to live long and be able to live life the way you want to live, and be healthy and be with your family and travel and all of that good stuff, right? So if that's something that you are considering, this is just one thing that anybody can do. Will everybody do it? No, they just not. That's just the psychology of human beings. But can you? Yes. This is something that you can do. It don't cost much money to do it. All you need is some dumbbells or a gym membership or whatever. It don't cost too much money. You can start building muscle, even if you're doing body weight exercises. I wouldn't stop there, but I'm just saying, this is something that you can do right now. And that's why I want to share this with you. Yeah, it takes a little inspiration and motivation, but it's doable. And it's something that is proven to be very beneficial to your health. Now, I will continue to get information out to you. I'll make some more videos about longevity and anti-aging. If you have any suggestions, please put it in the comments. I'll get back to you, and I will make a video based off of your comments. If you want me to make a video on something specific that you want me to cover, just drop it below and I will get back to you with that. Don't forget to like this video, and please subscribe to my page. Again, that would be very, very amazing for me. And also put in the comments, what is the one thing that you're going to change about your life to do better with your health? I'd love to hear that from you. All right. I will be back, and I will continue to get videos out that will inspire you and give you the resources to be able to live well and be well. Till next time.